मैं यहाँ पर संविधान की अच्छाइयाँ गिनाने नहीं जाऊंगा, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि संविधान कितना भी अच्छा क्यों ना हो, वो अंततः बुरा साबित होगा अगर उसे इस्तेमाल में वाले लोग बुरे हों। और संविधान कितना भी बुरा क्यों ना हो, वो अंततः अच्छा साबित होगा अगर उसे इस्तेमाल में लाने वाले लोग अच्छे हों। इसलिए जनता और उसके राजनीतिक दलों की भूमिका को संदर्भ में लाए बिना संविधान पर कोई भी निर्णय देना या कोई भी टिप्पणी करना मेरे विचार में व्यर्थ हो। धन्यवाद। यहाँ आसन पर बैठे voting means change of party. Nobody knows. People have no concept. And our electoral system, you see, we have a sort which never allows you to make choose a candidate. Not for instance, the Congress like to say, vote for what? Vote for Bullock. Yeah. No. But they never care who represented the Bullock. They have the donkey who represented the Bullock. Or a very educated man who represented the Bullock. He voted for the Bullock. So I'm not going to really party system. But what you mean by in a formal sense? You mean that in a fundamental sense, democracy will not work. From simple meaning, you have a social structure which is totally incompatible with parliamentary. Mean what it's based then unless you can get rid of the caste system, you can think social structure have to be altered. And what? The same will take some time for the social structure to be altered in a peaceful way. You see? But then somebody has to do making the effort to change the social system. But the Prime Minister has a long speech about the caste system, the endless speech of liberals. You see? When Bangla was presented in a set of violence specimens. He said, oh, this endless speaking acts in this kingdom. Well, the same sort of one stick of speaking. You have to have action. What action is some program. Some machinery. I don't think should be worked. Some action. Exposing it doesn't work. What alternative do you see? Well, why does it matter to help the country more? Would it raise the standard of living for the North? Who cares really for this election business? People want their material needs to be satisfied. In America, yes, I agree. The democracy works, and I don't think they're able to be communism. I just come from that country. I was invited to give a degree. Each American learns so much. When you begin to do that here too. Well, how can you begin? They say we have no land. You see? Our rainfall is so short. Our forests have been diminished. You see? What can we do? Very well. We have to tackle these problems. But you think, I don't think the federal government will pay this. Communists with white bodies. No people what do they talk about it? I mean, our mandate is to get a law. We always do that sort of thing. But in this country, we always do. I mean, in war, you kill people, go back. You see? But they didn't ask me. But I was poor. They didn't ask me. And I have to give some answer. Democracy is not working. No. Except in a parliament. Function को क्या संबंध है क्या?
राष्ट्रपति महोदय, सर, मैं ड्राफ्टिंग कमेटी द्वारा निश्चित की हुई संविधान की रूपरेखा को प्रस्तुत करता हूं और निवेदन करता हूं कि इस पर विचार किया जाए।
राष्ट्रपति महोदय सर, मैं इस सदन में उपस्थित उन लोगों में से एक हूं जो जानते हैं कि इस संविधान का मसौदा तैयार करने में डॉक्टर अंबेडकर ने कितनी मेहनत और लगन खर्च की है। शायद सदन को पता हो कि उसके द्वारा मनोनीत 7 सदस्यों में से एक ने इस्तीफा दे दिया और उसकी जगह किसी और को नहीं लिया गया। एक सदस्य थे अमेरिका में, तो उनकी जगह भी खाली रही और एक और सदस्य अपने कुछ कामों में, राज्य के कामों में व्यस्त रहे, इसलिए उनकी जगह भी खाली रही। ये क्या 2 सदस्य दिल्ली के बाहर थे और शायद सेहत की वजह से शामिल न हो सके। इसलिए आखिर में हुआ यूं कि मसौदा तैयार करने का सारा भार आ पड़ा डॉक्टर अंबेडकर पर। और मुझे कोई शक नहीं कि हम सब उनके अनुग्रहित हैं।
मुझे जो भी श्रेय दिया जा रहा है वो मेरे अकेले का नहीं है। इसका कुछ हिस्सा जाता है सर BN राव को, जो कि हमारी इस सभा के संवैधानिक सलाहकार हैं, जिन्होंने ड्राफ्टिंग कमेटी के विचार करने के लिए संविधान का कच्चा मसौदा तैयार किया। इस श्रेय का कुछ हिस्सा उस ड्राफ्टिंग कमेटी के सदस्यों को भी जाना चाहिए। मैं यहाँ पर संविधान की अच्छाइयां गिनाने नहीं जाऊंगा, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि संविधान कितना भी अच्छा क्यों ना हो, वो अंततः बुरा साबित होगा अगर उसे इस्तेमाल में लाने वाले लोग बुरे होंगे। और संविधान कितना भी बुरा क्यों ना हो, वो अंततः अच्छा साबित होगा अगर उसे इस्तेमाल में लाने वाले लोग अच्छे होंगे। इसलिए जनता और उसके राजनीतिक दलों की भूमिका को संदर्भ में लाए बिना संविधान पर कोई भी निर्णय देना या कोई भी टिप्पणी करना मेरे विचार में व्यर्थ है। धन्यवाद।
यहाँ आसन पर बैठे हुए और प्रतिदिन की कार्रवाई को देखते हुए मुझे ये प्रतीत हुआ, जो शायद किसी और को ना हुआ हो, कि कितने उत्साह और लगन के साथ संविधान समिति के सदस्यों ने और खास तौर से उनके चेयरमैन डॉक्टर अंबेडकर ने अपनी खराब सेहत के बावजूद ये काम पूरा किया।
राष्ट्रपति महोदय सर, मैं ड्राफ्टिंग कमेटी द्वारा निश्चित की हुई संविधान की रूपरेखा को प्रस्तुत करता हूं और निवेदन करता हूं कि इस पर विचार किया जाए।
राष्ट्रपति महोदय सर, मैं इस सदन में उपस्थित उन लोगों में से एक हूं जो जानते हैं कि इस संविधान का मसौदा तैयार करने में डॉक्टर अंबेडकर ने कितनी मेहनत और लगन खर्च की है। शायद सदन को पता हो कि उसके द्वारा मनोनीत 7 सदस्यों में से एक ने इस्तीफा दे दिया और उसकी जगह किसी और को नहीं लिया गया। एक सदस्य थे अमेरिका में, तो उनकी जगह भी खाली रही और एक और सदस्य अपने कुछ कामों में, राज्य के कामों में व्यस्त रहे, इसलिए उनकी जगह भी खाली रही। ये क्या 2 सदस्य दिल्ली के बाहर थे और शायद सेहत की वजह से शामिल न हो सके। इसलिए आखिर में हुआ यूं कि मसौदा तैयार करने का सारा भार आ पड़ा डॉक्टर अंबेडकर पर। और मुझे कोई शक नहीं कि हम सब उनके अनुग्रहित हैं।
मुझे जो भी श्रेय दिया जा रहा है वो मेरे अकेले का नहीं है। इसका कुछ हिस्सा जाता है सर BN राव को, जो कि हमारी इस सभा के संवैधानिक सलाहकार हैं, जिन्होंने ड्राफ्टिंग कमेटी के विचार करने के लिए संविधान का कच्चा मसौदा तैयार किया। इस श्रेय का कुछ हिस्सा उस ड्राफ्टिंग कमेटी के सदस्यों को भी जाना चाहिए। मैं यहाँ पर संविधान की अच्छाइयां गिनाने नहीं जाऊंगा, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि संविधान कितना भी अच्छा क्यों ना हो, वो अंततः बुरा साबित होगा अगर उसे इस्तेमाल में लाने वाले लोग बुरे होंगे। और संविधान कितना भी बुरा क्यों ना हो, वो अंततः अच्छा साबित होगा अगर उसे इस्तेमाल में लाने वाले लोग अच्छे होंगे। इसलिए जनता और उसके राजनीतिक दलों की भूमिका को संदर्भ में लाए बिना संविधान पर कोई भी निर्णय देना या कोई भी टिप्पणी करना मेरे विचार में व्यर्थ है। धन्यवाद।
यहाँ आसन पर बैठे हुए और प्रतिदिन की कार्रवाई को देखते हुए मुझे ये प्रतीत हुआ, जो शायद किसी और को ना हुआ हो, कि कितने उत्साह और लगन के साथ संविधान समिति के सदस्यों ने और खास तौर से उनके चेयरमैन डॉक्टर अंबेडकर ने अपनी खराब सेहत के बावजूद ये काम पूरा किया।
राष्ट्रपति महोदय, सर, मैं ड्राफ्टिंग कमेटी द्वारा निश्चित की हुई संविधान की रूपरेखा को
But Ambedkar, do you think democracy is not working? No. Except in a parallel form. What do you mean? I mean, the parallel of democracy. Independent election, prime ministers, and so on and so on. Right? Elections are very important. No. Elections are important, right? They produce really good men. Not very important because they're allowed to change the government. I mean, it's better to change peaceably than not to change. Yeah, who has got the idea, you see, that voting means change of government? Nobody knows. People have no concept. And our electoral system, you see, is of a sort which never allows the man to choose the candidate. Not for instance, the Congress they can say, vote for what? Vote for Bullock. No. The man never cared who represented the Bullock. They were the donkey who represented the Bullock. You see? Or a very educated man who represented the Bullock. He voted for the Bullock. Well, that's common to many party systems. But what you mean by in the formal sense, you mean that in the fundamental sense, in democracy will not work. But simple meaning, we have got a social structure which is totally incompatible with parliamentary. What do you mean that it's based on equality, inequality, or it's based on inequality? And therefore, unless you can get rid of the caste system, then the social structure got to be altered. I'm quite prepared to say that it will take some time for the social structure to be altered if you want to do it in a peaceful way. Yeah, you see? And then somebody must be making the effort to change the social structure. But the Prime Minister has made a lot of speeches about the caste system. His endless speeches, you know. When Caroline was presented with a set of colleagues for Spencer, he said, oh, this endless speaking acts in Christendom. Well, it's the same sort of one stick of speeches. You like to have action. What action you will? Some program, you see? Some machinery. Why do you think would be right there? Some action. But supposing it doesn't work, what alternative do you see? Well, they work. The alternative is I think I'm going to tell you. Why do you think that would help the country more? Would it raise the standard of living? You know, is it not? I mean, who cares really for this election business? People want food, people want their material needs to be satisfied. In democracy, in America, yes, I agree. The democracy works, and I don't think there ever will be communism in America. I just come from that country. I was invited to give a degree, take a degree. But because each American learns so much, how do you can begin to do that here too? Well, how can you begin? They say we have no land. You see? Our rainfall is so short. our forest has been denuded. What can we do? Well, ways of tackling these problems. But you think, I don't think the federal government will pay this money. What is communists for white banks? No people, double the rate of the money. I mean, our money is equal to the world. We always do that sort of thing. But in this country, yeah, we always do. I mean, in war, you kill people, don't you? We are not sorry because you have killed so many people. You also you find it necessary because necessary to do so in order to safeguard your interest. And really, people, this system is right for correct. And so, pretty simple. I don't buy that. Okay? One of the most ring of the step. See, moving. If the foundation of a building begins to collapse, it is first the roof strata that collapse. You need to rebuild people going. Now, the communists working, no, they are not working because they are taking me. I don't think anything. So back. You see? But they were asking me. But I was good. Yes, they were asking me. I have to give some answer.
Yeah, good afternoon all. I kindly request all the audience to occupy the front rows, please. Those at the back rows, please occupy the front rows. Chief guest has just arrived. We will start the function in this morning.
Speaker, start now. Huh? Hello. Sir.
Invited guests and dignitaries, officials from press and media, my senior colleagues, and my dear friends, good afternoon. We are privileged to have such an esteemed gathering here today to celebrate the life and legacy as we remember and pay tribute to a man who has laid foundation for an inclusive and just society through his groundbreaking work as a social reformer, jurist, principal architect of the Indian Constitution, and one of the greatest visionaries of our nation, Dr. Bharat Ratna Baba Saheb Dr. B.R. Ambedkar on his 134th birth anniversary celebrations. On this great occasion, we are truly fortunate to have dignitaries from various organizations, and it is an absolute honor to have an exemplary and an eminent personality as our chief guest. Today's chief guest is from a premier university which has been at top slot consistently in the NIRF ranking ever since the ranking scheme was introduced for law institutions in 2018. And it is the most sought after university by students who pursue law as their career. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Honorable Vice Chancellor of National Law School of India University, Bengaluru, Professor Dr. Sudhir Krishnaswamy. I kindly request our respected Director General, Shri B.A. Savleji, our Director, Shri Sudhakar Reddy ji, to escort the Chief Guest to the dais, please. I also request Additional Director and Chairman Program Committee and Joint Director and Liaison Officer SCST and PWD to accompany the Chief Guest to the dais. Let us all join in giving a heartfelt welcome to the dignitaries as they take the stage. Thank you, sis. Before proceeding further with today's event, as we are aware that His Holiness Pope Francis, the Supreme Pontiff of the Holy See, passed away on Monday, the 21st April 2025. As a mark of respect to the departed dignitary, I request all present here to rise and observe 2 minutes of silence, please. And this is also as a mark of respect to those in Kashmir expired last night.
Thank you.
Thank you all. We will now begin this auspicious occasion with an invocation song. For this, I call upon Ms. Dattashri from Sri Rama Bhajana Mandira Trust, Bengaluru, to present an invocation song, please.
जय भीम महाराष्ट्ರದ ಹಣತೆ ನೀನೊಂದು ಮುಗಿಯದ ಚರಿತೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿದೆಯಲು ನಿನ್ನ ಕಣ್ಣೀರ ಕಥೆ ಇದೆ ಆ ಮಣ್ಣಿನ ಕಣ ಕಣದಲು ನೀ ಬರೆದಳುತ್ತಿದೆ ಜೈ ಭೀಮ್ ಮಹಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರದ ಹಣತೆ ನೀನೊಂದು ಮುಗಿಯದ ಚರಿತೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿದೆಯಲು ನಿನ್ನ ಕಣ್ಣೀರ ಕಥೆ ಇದೆ ಆ ಕಣ ಕಣದಲು ನೀ ಬರೆದಳುತ್ತಿದೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿದೆಯಲು ನಿನ್ನ ಕಣ್ಣೀರ ಕಥೆ ಇದೆ ಈ ಮಣ್ಣಿನ ಕಣ ಕಣದಲು ನೀ ಬರೆದಳುತ್ತಿದೆ ಜಾತಿ ಸಂಕೋಲೆಯಲೆ ಬೆಂದು ಮನನೊಂದು ಗಟ್ಟಿ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಮಾಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮೆಟ್ಟಿ ನಿಂತವನೇ ಶೋಷಿತ ಸಮುದಾಯಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳಕನ್ನು ತಂದವನೇ ಬಡವರ ಬದುಕಿಸುವ ಹೊಸ ಶಾಸನ ಬರೆದವನೇ ಶೋಷಿತ ಸಮುದಾಯಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳಕನ್ನು ತಂದವನೇ ಬಡವರ ಬದುಕಿಸುವ ಹೊಸ ಶಾಸನ ಬರೆದವನೇ ಎಲ್ಲರಿದೆಯಲು ನಿನ್ನ ಕಣ್ಣೀರ ಕಥೆ ಇದೆ ಆ ಹರಿಯುವ ನದಿ ದಿಕ್ಕನು ಬದಲಿಸುವ ಗುಣವಿದೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿದೆಯಲು ನಿನ್ನ ಕಣ್ಣೀರ ಕಥೆ ಇದೆ ಈ ಮಣ್ಣಿನ ಕಣ ಕಣದಲು ನೀ ಬರೆದಲಿಪಿದೆ ಗುಡಿ ಚರ್ಚು ಮಸೀದಿಗಳ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರ ಬೆವರಿನ ಬೆಲೆ ಕಂಡ ಕರುಳಿನ ಕಥೆಗಾರ ಗುಡಿ ಚರ್ಚು ಮಸೀದಿಗಳ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರ ಬೆವರಿನ ಬೆಲೆ ಕಂಡ ಕರುಳಿನ ಕಥೆಗಾರ ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ಬಟ್ಟೆ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ದುಡಿದೋರಾದನೆಯಾದೆ ಉರಿ ಬಿಸಿಲಲ್ಲಿ ದಣಿದವರಿಗೆ ನೀರಿನ ಹನಿಯಾದೆ ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ಬಟ್ಟೆ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ದುಡಿದೋರದನೆಯಾದೆ ಉರಿ ಬಿಸಿಲಲ್ಲಿ ದಣಿದವರಿಗೆ ನೀರಿನ ಹನಿಯಾದೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿದೆಯಲು ನಿನ್ನ ಕಣ್ಣೀರ ಕಥೆ ಇದೆ ಆ ಕಥೆಯು ಸ್ವಾಭಿಮಾನದ ಬದುಕನ್ನು ಕಲಿಸಿದೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿದೆಯಲು ನಿನ್ನ ಕಣ್ಣೀರ ಕಥೆ ಇದೆ ಆ ಕಥೆಯು ಸ್ವಾಭಿಮಾನದ ಬದುಕನ್ನು ಕಲಿಸಿದೆ ಜೈ ಭೀಮ್ ಮಹಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರದ ಹಣತೆ ನೀನೊಂದು ಮುಗಿದ ಚರಿತೆ ಜೈ ಭೀಮ್ ಮಹಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರದ ಹಣತೆ ನೀನೊಂದು ಮುಗಿಯದ ಚರಿತೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿದೆಯಲು ನಿನ್ನ ಕಣ್ಣೀರ ಕಥೆ ಇದೆ ಧಮನಿತರ ಪ್ರತಿ ಶ್ವಾಸದಲ್ಲೂ ನಿನ್ನ ಉಸಿರಿದೆ ಜೈ ಭೀಮ್
Thank you, madam, for that beautiful and melodious invocation. The song has filled this space with peace, serenity, and sense of unity. May the blessings invoked through the song accompany us through today's event. As is customary, traditional, and symbolic gesture of spreading of knowledge, wisdom, and positivity, we will commence today's program by lighting the lamp. And it is with great honor I request the dignitaries on the dais to kindly come forward to light the lamp, please. I also request the dignitaries to offer floral tribute to the legendary and pay homage before the portrait of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. The audience may rise on this occasion. Let this flame inspire us all to shine brightly in all our endeavors with light, compassion, and understanding. Flowers have always been a symbol of respect, reverence, and remembrance. And today we offer them as a mark of our gratitude and admiration to this great legend. Thanks to our distinguished dignitaries for performing this meaningful ceremony with such a grace, compassion, and respect. I kindly request the dignitaries to take this seat, please. As we begin this special occasion, it is my pleasure to invite our additional director, Shri Gujjala Balaraju, who played a pivotal role as chairman of program committee in arranging today's event, to formally welcome this august gathering.
Thank you, Pradesh. Good afternoon to one and all, respected dignitaries on the dais, Professor Dr. Sudhir Krishnaswamy, Honorable Vice Chancellor, National Law School of India University, Shri B.A. Savleji, Director General of CPRI, Shri S. Sudhakar Reddy, the Director of CPRI, Shri Gurudev T, the Joint Director and Liaison Officer for SCST and PWD CPRI. Distinguished invitees, media and press, the CPRI fraternity and my beloved colleagues of CPRI. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know that the Indian history is filled with patriotic freedom fighters and social reformers. One famous name among them is that of Bharat Ratna Shri Dr. Bhimarao Ramji Ambedkar. And on this auspicious occasion, we all have assembled here to celebrate the 134th birth anniversary of Bharat Ratna Dr. Bhimarao Ramji Ambedkar. This nationalistic and sacred occasion of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's Jayanti commemorates the memory and birth of this great and diverse personality. The most noteworthy The aura of the super soul is such that birth anniversary celebrations of B.R. Ambedkar Jayanti takes place well beyond the borders of India. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was a man of diverse talents and professions, as he was a great economist, jurist, and more than that, he was a social reformer. Also, he was the first Law and Justice Minister of Government of India after the independence. Above all, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar played a central role in drafting the Constitution of India. Friends, it is my privilege and honor to extend cordial welcome to all of you to celebrate this 134th birth anniversary of Bharat Ratna Dr. Bhimarao Ramji Ambedkar for the year 2025. It is indeed a great honor to have with us Professor Dr. Sudhir Krishnaswamy, Honorable Vice Chancellor, National Law School of India University, as our chief guest. May I now request our respected Director General to formally welcome our chief guest with presenting sapling and flowers, please. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And I welcome all the Bharat Ratna Shri Dr. Bhimarao Ramji Ambedkar Meritorious Award winning children of CPRI with their parents. I also take this opportunity to welcome the distinguished invitees of our neighboring organizations, BEL, HMT, CMTI, BHEL EDN, BHEL EPD, Indian Institute of Science, ISRO, NAL, HAL, BEML, ADE, ADA, LRDE, GTRE, Karnataka Soaps and Detergents, State Bank of India, and Canara Bank. And I welcome the media and journalists of Press Club of Bengaluru, Press Information Bureau of Bengaluru, and Doordarshan. Thank you all. Jai Bhim, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, sir, for the welcome address and for setting up such a positive tone for today's proceedings. Ladies and gentlemen, our beloved director, Sri Sudhakar Reddy sir, is a source of true inspiration and support in all the activities we attempt. I now request our director to address the gathering with his opening remarks, please.
Good afternoon to all. Respected Professor Dr. Sudhir Krishnamurthy, Honorable Vice Chancellor, National Law School of India University, Bengaluru, today's chief guest, respected Director General, Sri B.A. Savleji, my colleague and friend, Mr. Balraj, Additional Director, my colleague, Mr. Gurudev, Joint Director, and Liaison Officer for SCST and PWD, my dear colleagues, press and media, distinguished invitees, my beloved children and parents who are here to accept the awards, are one and all. First of all, it is a great privilege for me to be the part of this dais, which is celebrating 134th birth anniversary of Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar. In my entire service, it's a great privilege for me. I thank the entire CPRI fraternity for giving this opportunity. So, yes. So when it comes to Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, I am a very small person to talk anything regarding Dr. Baba Sahib, because already people who have a lot of knowledge and experts about his journey throughout his life, domestically and internationally, and what all his contributions, the rough edges which Baba Sahib has undergone to reform this country from pre-independence to till date, all of us. So we have to remember. That's why I don't want to take much time now to talk more about Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar. I will leave it to the two legendaries who are sharing the dais to speak more about him. But I would like to brief very little about his biodata. So Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar is a principal architect of our Indian Constitution and one of the most prominent social reformers, jurists, economists, and politicians in Indian history. He is popularly known as Baba Sahib Ambedkar. He was born on 14th April 1891 to lucky parents Ramji Maloji Sakpal, a Subedar in British Indian Army, and Bhima Bhai Sakpal. So he was born at a place called Mao in Madhya Pradesh. Now it is in Madhya Pradesh. So it is a central province of India. So he started his education in Mumbai, Satara High School, Maharashtra, and completed his high school. And he is the first Dalit to complete the high school in this country. So later on, he finished his BA in Economics and Political Science in 1912 at Elphinstone College, Mumbai. So then later on, he started his journey internationally. He went to Columbia University, New York, USA, and he finished his MA in Economics in 1915 and a PhD in Economics in 1927. And his thesis was the evaluation of provincial finance in British India. That was his thesis. Later on, he went to London School of Economics, UK, finished his Doctor of Science in Economics and barrister law from Grace in London. So as I said already, he is a great economist, jurist, social reformer, politician. So architect of our constitution, all of us know. So He was the chairman of now the drafting committee of the Indian Constitution. Even today, he is known as the father of the Indian Constitution. He led many movements against untouchability and caste discrimination, advocated for Dalit rights and upliftment of oppressed classes in the society, organized mass movements like Mahad Satyagraha in 1927, Kalaram Temple Entry Movement in 1930. So when it comes to the political career, he is the founder of Independent Labour Party, founder of Scheduled Caste Federation. He was the first Law Minister of India, then founder of the Republican Party of India, even today, which is existent. Then when it comes to his publications and works, so the first one is Annihilation of Caste, that is published in 1936. The Problem of Rupee, that was in 1923. The Buddha and his Dhamma, who were Sudras, then the untouchables, who are they, and why they became untouchables. These are all the publications of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. And he got India's highest civilian award, Bharat Ratna, during 1990, that is posthumously. So numerous institutions, universities and public projects named his honor, and keeping his name in the institute. I would like to say that I am also part of one of the institute in Bengaluru called Ambedkar Institute of Technology, where I am an academic council member for last 15 years. So with this brief biodata of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar ji, I would like to close my address. So thank you one and all.
Thank you, sir, for your short yet indeed an inspirational thought with the brief works of Dr. P.R. Ambedkar. Your words have reminded us of the larger vision and the purpose that we all strive toward. As we move forward with this momentous occasion, we have a visionary leader and a guiding force who was also meticulously monitoring and guiding us in organizing this event. He is consistently leading with a relentless commitment to excellence. It is my distinct honor to invite our respected Director General, Shri B.A. Savleji, to deliver his address, please.
Thank you, Pradesh, for prizing me. Dignitaries on dais, Dr. Sudhir Krishnaswamy, Honorable Vice Chancellor, National Law University of India, University, Bangalore. Sri Sudhakar Reddy, Director. Additional Director, Mr. Balraj. Joint Director, Mr. Gurudev. Invited guest, my colleagues, the media. Jai Bhim. Good afternoon. I'm pleased and honored to be here to talk on the Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's birth anniversary occasion. We are assembled here and we celebrate his birth anniversary, not to just remember him, but we must remind ourselves to follow his thoughts. He was the chief architect of Indian Constitution, everybody knows, social reformer. Just now, Mr. Sudhakar Reddy has spoken about his achievements. To add in that, he had to come back from the Columbia University after finishing his PhD because his duration of 4 years of the scholarship was completed. He went from Columbia University directly to the School of Economics, London, to re-register again for second PhD. But he had to come back on the contract or on the promise that he will complete his second PhD in the School of Economics in London within 4 years. So he came back, he joined because he had a contract with the Maharaja Gaikwad because he has sponsored his education after his BA at Ambedkar College, Mumbai. Then, once he joined the Baroda school, Baroda military as a military secretary, he had to face a discrimination there also. So, caste discrimination he had to face in entire his life, not only in the childhood, but he was hurt too much that even after coming back from the London, which he has seen that see change from the when he was in the USA and the London or the England, this was not at all there. But the moment he came back here, he had to face the same situation. When he joined as a military secretary in Baroda, he could not get a house there. So he searched a house of the Parsi without revealing his caste in Baroda. Within 8 days, the Parsi family came to know he belongs to the Mahar community. So his all belongings were thrown out. So entire night in Gujarat, it seems there is one tree which still now the Sankalpa tree they named it. So he had to spend all night under the tree. Then he said that the untouchability, once you are untouchable to Hindu, you are untouchable to Parsi also. That means the caste system was not limited to only Hindu because that was contaminated in the other religions. And unfortunately now we see today also many part of the country, especially certain remote areas, are the dominant with some communities. This practice, this follows. So that is the biggest, I think, unfortunate of this country. From his book, in fact, what are the books you have told? There are many more books are there. And his literature, most of the literature was unpublished, remained unpublished. And later part of, I think maybe around 80s somewhere, the Maharashtra government published entire his unpublished documents. That is why then it came to limelight. I was going through one of the book written by the Arundhati Rai, that is Annihilation of the Caste. He had approached the then government for lending 20,000 rupees for publishing his literature, but he was not sanctioned. So there are a lot of untold stories about him. Now only when the media is there, the social media is there, we are coming to know, people are coming to know. Second, the third phase of his discrimination was, it is very evident that when he lost his election twice against the Congress candidate, that was one was the Bombay constituency and second was a by-election in Bhandara, Maharashtra. So with those odd situation and or you can say the difficulties, you can think of the man who never had the hatred for anybody. Okay, he wrote the constitution, drafted the constitution without reflecting any of his pain in that. So that is the greatness of the Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. I quote two quotes from his book where he has written that the waiting for visa. There are certain books are there, you must read it. It will give you a lot of inspiration. One is waiting for visa is there. Okay. Annihilation caste, actually it was an unpublished document. Annihilation of caste, he was in Lahore, it seems, he was invited to give a speech on the, there was a Hindu, I think, something that Jat Todak, something was there, that was the, I don't remember exactly this one. It was Hindu Mahasabhas, something like that, and they had the some sort of the conference type in the Lahore. He was invited there to speak on the caste system. So he wrote that annihilation of the caste story, entire this one, and then what happened? They also got certain hesitation to whether you should call him or not. So they asked that speech to be sent him, okay, before the event. So when he sent that speech, after that they said, no, this speech cannot be delivered here. So that was the unpublished document, annihilation of caste. So he did not agree to make any changes in that, and he did not. I think he came back on the way back. He returned. What he says that the quote, there was plenty. What happened when he was in school in Satara? There were 14 siblings. He had 14 brothers sisters of the Ambedkars. 10 were not no more. Only 4 were surviving. When his father was retired from the British Army, he was working in the Mumbai as a cashier somewhere. His 4 children, 2 brothers, 2 sisters, they traveled from Satara to Mumbai to meet his father. But the letter which they wrote him to they receive them in the station did not reach before they reached there. So when they reached in this one, in the station, they wore new shirts. That time the cap used to be there for the Maharashtrian style. Nobody was there to receive them. So what they did, the station manager first spoke to them very nicely. The moment they came to know they belong to Mahar community, his behavior changed. Then they did not get anything to travel from Mumbai Parel station. They got down. I think maybe traveling to other place. Then from there to travel, they did not get any means. The bullock cart was hired. The moment the bullock cart owner came to know their caste, he did not agree to take them. But with the great persuasion, then he agreed that, okay, I will walk by side and you sit in the cart and you can travel. So that was the situation. So during that period, he realized, and then he writes in his book, Waiting for Visa, there was plenty food with us, but we were to sleep without food. That was because we could get no water, and we could get no water because we were untouchables. Then another quote is there. Evidently, my elder brother had his misgiving. He said it was not wise for all four of us to go to sleep. Anything might happen. He suggested that one time 2 should sleep and 2 should keep watch. So we spent the night at the foot of that hill. So these are the certain quotes which, when you go through that, and then really you realize that the hardship he went to that, and the greatness, at the level of the greatness he reached, so never imaginable. So this gives you the inspiration. In all odd situation you can survive, and still you can achieve the greatness. So with these certain things, one more thing I want to just tell here. I think there are a lot of literature is available. It is not only drafting of the this one. He had a great vision for the modern India, and most of this, for just example, was as still told that the Reserve Bank of India's foundation was his thesis, first thesis, or PhD thesis, that the problem of the rupee. He wanted to be a planning minister. That is what I came to know when I went to the literature. He wanted to plan he had a great ideas for the country, but unfortunately, he could not get that ministry those days. The linking of river was one of his idea. The Bhakra Nangal was his idea. Damodar Valley Corporation was his idea. So there are a lot of things are there. So taking much of time here, I would end my address here. We are all eager to hear to our eminent chief guest. Thank you very much. I wish all the best. Do hard work. Do your best. And let us have a great lesson from the greatest ever person on the earth, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar.
Thank you, sir. Your insights resonates information and value of this legendary personality, and you have also brought out the hardship Dr. B.R. Ambedkar had to face during his career due to the casteism being practiced in the country, and the greatness and humbleness of this legend. Your encouragement and leadership continue to motivate us to aim higher and to work with greater dedication. Thank you very much, sir, for that inspiring address. We truly appreciate your leadership and commitment. Moving forward, we are privileged to have our esteemed chief guest, Honorable Vice Chancellor, NLSIU, Professor Dr. Sudhir Krishnaswamy amongst us today. When Sir had accepted our invitation, I was just going through the website of NLSIU, and I was surprised to know that Sir not only manages his university's day-to-day activities, but also manages his big council, like Governing Council, Executive Council, Academic Council. And I could see who is who in the judiciary, right from Honorable Chief Justice of India, Justice Sanjeev Khanna, to Honorable Chief Justice of High Courts, Honorable Judges of Supreme Courts and High Courts, Senior Executives of Bar Council, Advocate General, Senior Advocates, Sitting Ministers, Principal Secretaries to Government, Professors, and other eminent personalities are part of the council. And this shows how busy a man he is. In spite of this, Sir has graciously accepted our invitation and agreed to join us today to share his valuable insights. Not only that, Sir was present here before lunch and went around CPRI, visiting few of our labs and interacting with our officers. This shows his vast interest, commitment, and above all, his time management. We are truly grateful to you, sir, for being present here. And before I request the chief guest to address us, I kindly request our Joint Director, Dr. N.G. Anand Kumar, to briefly introduce our distinguished chief guest to this gathering.
Thank you, Mr. Pradesh. I think it's difficult to briefly introduce our chief guest today, but anyhow, we'll make it an attempt. Distinguished Director General Shri Salve Sab, Director, Chief Guest of this function, and other dignitaries on the dais, invitees. It's my pride privilege to introduce a great personality who is amongst us this day as the chief guest for this program, Professor Dr. Sudhir Krishnaswamy. He graduated with a Bachelor of Arts and Law degree from the National Law School of India, Bangalore, and completed postgraduate and doctoral degree at Oxford University as a Rhodes Scholar. He is a recipient of the Infosys Prize for the year 2022 in the Humanities category. Professor Sudhir Krishnaswamy is presently the Vice Chancellor of National Law School of India, University Bangalore, and Director, Department of Professional and Continuing Education at the university. In the past, he was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Visiting Professor of Indian Constitutional Law at Columbia Law School. He has been a teaching fellow in law of the Pembroke College at Oxford University and fellow in the law of the assistant professor at the National Law School of India University and a professor of the West Bengal National University of Juridical Sciences, Kolkata. Previously was the director of the School of Policy and Governance and professor of law and politics at Azim Premji University. He is also journal's patron at the National Law School of India University and secretary treasurer of the Consortium of National Law Universities. He is a member of the Independent Oversight Board that makes content moderation decision on Facebook and Instagram platforms. He is a co-founder and managing trustee of the Center for Law and Policy Research that engages in the law and policy research, social and governance interventions, and strategic impact litigation, and the founder of the Supreme Court Observer, which is the most reliable guide to the work of the Indian Supreme Court. His current research focuses on constitutional law, the empirical analysis of the legal, political, and governance systems, and the regulation of new and emerging technologies, including artificial and automated decision systems. He has authored a book on democracy and constitutionalism in India, published by the Oxford University Press during the year 2009. He has also written very impressive articles, journal chapters, conferences, papers, a very big list, but to name a few of them: Dalits see the Apex Court's order on SC/ST Act as a dog whistle to destroy the law, written during 2018 in the print magazine. The People's Court during 2016 in the India Today. The SC must end partisan federalism, along with Gaurav Mukherjee during 2016 in the Hindu. Why Novartis case will help innovation with Achala Prabhala in the Hindu. Healthcare law in the US and the RTE in India, Economic and Political Weekly, along with Arjun Jaidev during the year 2012. He has conducted many events engaging varied audiences across diverse formats, and to list a few: Transformative Constitutionalism in India, Reflections on Shifting Paradigm during 8th April 2019, National Symposium of Law and Development during 22nd March 2019, Crossfire Pragyan during the year 2019, Workshop on Constitutional Foundation of State Regulations on Religion during 2019, Teaching Faculty Workshop on the Constitution during 2019, and the Court and the Constitution 2018 Review, which was conducted during the year 2019. Much more are there. I just want to limit it here. A very impressive resume to introduce. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. as a great personality. So please put your hands together and join me to invite the chief guest for this day's function. And I present Professor Dr. Sudhir Krishnaswamy, Vice Chancellor, National Law School of India University. Thank you, please.
So I've had the privilege of having two introductions, Prasid, followed by Dr. Anand Kumar. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, and thank you for the invitation to speak today at the Central Power Research Institute on the 134th birth anniversary of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So Dr. Anand Kumar, Dr. Kalyappan, and R. Shankar reached out to me some time ago, 2-3 weeks ago, to request me to speak at this commemorative event. And I was very quick to agree, and we had to find the appropriate date, which we did quickly, and here I am. And I want to start by just mentioning a couple of reasons that motivated me in the initial stages. The first is a sense of what CPRI is I understand that it emerged from the Indian Institute of Science as a technical and scientific institution, and remains today a very key institution in this scientific and institutional landscape. But also, I was mentioning to them that as a personal matter, I've actually frequented the campus because I had a classmate who lived in the CPRI quarters. And I'm glad to share that my classmate is now a judge in the Canadian courts. I mean, she happens to be now a citizen of Canada. So CPRI was an institution of familiarity, even as I was growing up as a student. More relevantly, I realized today that many of the people on the dais and Director General Savle's son was in legal education, and many others here have personal connections to legal education and to NLS. So I suppose the CPRI and National Law School connection is a significant one. As a part of the introduction, though, someone mentioned, I think it was Prasid who mentioned the consortium of national law universities, and I think there are many aspirants in CLAT exam and parents and likewise, and who often reach out to me, especially this year with all the frustration with an exam that doesn't seem to finish and seems to have a lot of clouds hanging over it. I'll just share today that you should spare me the embarrassment of asking me questions about the CLAT exam, but every other question I'm happy to respond to and answer as clearly as I can. So Mr. Balaraju got us started today with the welcome address, and Mr. Sudhakar Reddy then helped us with a broad biographical introduction to Dr. Ambedkar. And I can see that the Director General has a deep investment in the question, both with biographical detail, but also with a question of ideas. So what I take from your suggestions is that a good way to use our time today is to talk about ideas. Biography is important, and ideas are equally important. And I'm going to, given my training, focus on the ideas. So let me then come to the second reason why I thought it's a good occasion to speak to you today and share some ideas that might hopefully be of common concern. It is fair to say today that in the last decade, so you mentioned the collected works of Ambedkar publication in the 80s, but I think that in the last 10 to 15 years, there has been a comprehensive review and reassessment of Dr. Ambedkar's place in the intellectual and political inheritance of the nation. I think this is most people in the room might know, but if you don't know, then you should look around. There's a lot of serious engagement, biographies, academic writing, and so on. But it's also happening at the same time, 2025, where we are also engaged in a substantial rethinking of the meaning and the consequences of the Constitution of India 1950. So both these things are happening at the same time. So I think that thinking about Dr. Ambedkar's work in the light of contemporary developments is what I see, what is exciting about the opportunity to speak today. That's what I will try and do. Focus on a few key ideas, and hopefully, we can have a small Q&A afterwards. I'm glad to clarify anything that I've said. Recently, less than 10 days ago, in the Indian Express, Professor Yogendra Yadav published an article around the 134th birth anniversary, arguing that we should recover the radical in Ambedkar. He says that this is the time for today is to recover the radical in Ambedkar. But how should we think about the radical in Ambedkar? So the first thing he says is that we should not think about Ambedkar as if he were a conventional left or communist radical. Now, there are some in the academic literature and in the political debates around Dr. Ambedkar who would insist that Ambedkar is actually a communist or a socialist radical. So the first thing that Dr. Yogendra Yadav suggests is that's not the radical in Ambedkar that I think, that is Professor Yadav thinks should be recovered. He also suggests that we should not recover the radical in Ambedkar as if it were an academic project. And I think one gets a sense why he's saying that, because a lot of academic writing can become so boring and so tedious that nobody will read it. We may write something, it might be interesting to some people, but nobody reads academic work. But as a member of the academic community myself, I don't know that I can do something much more dramatic or different than that. I think that, as the Director General said, there is a lot of value in engaging with Dr. Ambedkar's work seriously, academically, and carefully. There's place for that. Much has been said, but there is much more care and attention that needs to be invested. And what I'm trying to do with the work that I've done is that we can do academic work that is plain speaking, very clear, accessible to everybody, yet is deeply invested and careful about its sources, the materials we use, and responsible about the way we interpret a historical personality. So I think that Professor Yadav is right that there is a time in 2025, we're talking about constitutional democracy in India and Dr. Ambedkar's 134th birth anniversary at the same time, in an interesting conjunction. And we should think about it, why that conjunction is important. In other work, I have talked and written a little bit about Dr. Ambedkar's role in constitution drafting and so on and so forth. I'm not going to do that today. I'm not going to drag you through a history lesson of any sort. I will just stay and focus as a student of constitutional law and politics in India by focusing on three ideas. And I'll try and illustrate these ideas and clarify them and show the relationship between the three, and conclude with a different approach than what Yogendra Yadav suggests in the Indian Express in the short article. I just use the article as a foil. It's not like it's a deep disagreement, but it's interesting as to structure it as a response. The first idea that I want to focus on is an idea that I think many people are familiar with, which is the idea of constitutional morality. There is a way in which, in the last, let me say 10 years, constitutional morality has come to be used as a phrase that Ambedkar brought up, and towards the end of the Constituent Assembly debates, just before the Constitution was finally adopted. And it gets presented and used in court judgments. It gets used by various political actors. It gets used even in general commentary. I want to try to put my finger on what Ambedkar meant when he spoke about constitutional morality, and just point out some differences in the way it has been used. Today, constitutional morality is used in this sense. Mainly, people would suggest that there is a public morality or a social morality. There's a conventional morality, whatever people think. If we did a survey in this room, what do people think about some moral question? We can get a sense, what do the majority think? So there is majority conventional morality, and there is constitutional morality. Constitutional morality here is different from conventional public morality, And on legal and constitutional questions, constitutional morality must win over public or conventional morality. This is the way this concept is used. There is some difficulty when somebody asks what is constitutional morality. Some people may say equality, other people may say liberty, or some combination. Even the judgments of the Supreme Court that use constitutional morality, take the last example. In the recent governor's case on Article 201, once again, there's a reference by Justice Dhulia to constitutional morality in the last part of the judgment. And there also he simply says that constitutional morality demands that judges must not be given excessive discretion. They should not be able to subvert democracy. So constitutional morality then becomes quite empty, quite broad. It can mean anything. You know, there are many values in the Constitution. We could say all those values are constitutional morality. That was not the way that Dr. Ambedkar used constitutional morality in the Constituent Assembly debates. When he spoke about constitutional morality, he brought up that idea in response to a question from the Assembly. Two questions. Members of the Assembly said, why have you taken so long? 3 years. Why is the Constitution so long? More than 300 articles. To that, Dr. Ambedkar never came back and gave a direct response that we need 300 articles because of this issue or that issue. He gave a slightly different response. In that response, he used the concept of constitutional morality. And he said something very important, something important that we somehow fail to recognize even today. What he said was that in a country where democratic values are already practiced, where liberty and equality are reasonably prevalent, you can create a very short constitution. Then the constitution can be 20 pages. But what do you do in a country which has no culture of social democracy, where the social order, the social fabric is deeply inegalitarian? It denies the dignity of maybe even a majority of the population in the country. What do you do? He says in such a country, you can only write a long constitution. Why do you need to write a long constitution? Because the constitution has to teach the political class, the citizens, the bureaucrats, every single detail of political and social governance. This structure, what he called the grammar of democracy, he borrowed from a reference to a book by George Grote, is a British writer writing about Athenian democracy. And in my classrooms, I talk about all this. I'm not going to talk too much today about Athenian democracy and what was happening in Greece. But the point that he wanted to make is that if you want to restore democracy or create a new democracy in a society which has no tradition of democratic practice, you have to do it through strong constitutional norms and institutions. You cannot do it by writing a thin charter. It has no chance of success. So 75 years later, I think that I trust that most of you in this room will agree with me that Ambedkar's thesis, Ambedkar's idea on the length of a constitution and the struggle of how to institutionalize constitutional politics, he was right. He was right because to create even a reasonable society that agreed on some core values, you needed to have a long constitutional document. So I'll conclude this first point by saying that the constitutional morality idea for Ambedkar is not that liberty or equality is constitutional morality and everything else is not. It is that to create a constitutional democracy, the grammar of politics, how is politics done? In some other country, maybe you don't need to write how the legislature should be run. In India, even after writing how a legislature should be run, 8 times out of 10, the legislature will not be run like that. That is the struggle of a new democracy. And he's spot on about that. The second idea, then you might think, okay, this is the case, long constitution has been written, constitutional democracy, then what is left for democratic institutions to do? If the constitution is going to tell you everything, what to do, how to do it, then is anything left for politics? So this is the second idea I want to focus on. So, and I'll call this the idea of democracy. Unlike some people who even today argue that Ambedkar pushed for a certain determinate set of ends, some goals for the constitution, that there's nothing left for politics. Ambedkar is very sensitive to this criticism, and I want to emphasize how he was sensitive to the criticism. He was asked by K.M. Munshi. He said in the Constituent Assembly, Munshi said, this is a socialist constitution. You've written Article 35, 36, 37, 38, 39 in such a way that what is left for politics to do? You've already said, that the resources of the community must be so distributed as to subserve the common good. That's just like a communist principle. There's nothing left in politics, to which Ambedkar has a very sharp response. He says that the directive principles of the Constitution and the other social goals of the Constitution, anti-discrimination, anti-hierarchy in the economy, the equality of women, he says these are not the goals of a democracy. These are the preconditions of a democracy. He says that the Constitution is an open document. Parties can compete, win the election and pursue their agenda. But for a democracy to exist, it needs to have a social foundation. What does that mean? What is the social foundation for a democracy? He says that in a country that is less than half are literate, more than 70% are poor, you give them the vote, you give everybody a vote, one person, one vote. Very important political revolution of the 1950 Constitution. Is it enough? To which he says that that's not enough. He says, then how do we do it? We make the Constitution first. We are neutral about the ends of the Constitution, what goals the Constitution should pursue. How does it work? So he has a very novel idea here, and I think that this idea is poorly understood even today. So it's worth saying it loud and maybe saying it 5 times, which is that Ambedkar's view is that the way the preconditions for India is that empire must go, the British will leave. The social conditions for democracy do not exist. We are going to create a constitution. Now the constitution has to create the conditions, and let me just quote this for you. The constitution is not just a legitimate order, but a form and a method of government whereby revolutionary changes in the economic and social life of the people are to be brought about without bloodshed. So the radical and Ambedkar. The radical thought here is that you can make the constitution. The constitution will usher in a revolution. A revolution of what? Of the social, economic, and political order. And without bloodshed. At that point in time, 1950, when we adopted the constitution, nobody, not even Dr. Ambedkar, could imagine that this would succeed. The idea was, can we take a poor, illiterate, inegalitarian society, make it a modern, thriving democracy through constitutional means? He says, yes, you can do it, but you can only do it if you can change the preconditions of democracy. And what are those preconditions? Those preconditions are social conditions. They're conditions of equality, of basic nutrition, of fair conditions of work, and so on and so forth. And he says these are preconditions of a democracy. The goals of democracy can be anything else, but these are the basic conditions. This second idea about democracy, you can call it a social democratic idea or something like that. I'll just call it a slightly different thing. I'll call it a Republican view of democracy. And Republican here is not Republican of the US political party type. It's not even Republican of the Ambedkarite party type. Because to the best of my knowledge and my research, when Ambedkar created a party and then after his time, there is a Republican party. This is not Republican in the sense that I'm using it, in a political, philosophical sense. So we are trying to create a kind of politics which is different from the standard liberal democracies of Western Europe or the United States. That is the concept of democracy that Ambedkar tries to invest in the Constitution. Some might say it was too fancy, no chance of success. Others might say it was way ahead of its time. Because today the crisis, even in Western liberal democracies, is that even when you have wealth, you have prosperity, and you don't have reasonable social equity in a society, democracy starts breaking down. Just have to look at the politics of the United States, some parts of Europe. We can see this happening. It appears on this count too that Ambedkar's early recognition of the social foundations of democracy was prescient, was ahead of its time. Right? So, second idea, my first idea that I focused on was on the idea of constitutional morality. How do you create a constitutional morality in difficult societies like ours? Second, what idea of democracy do we pursue? And here he has a clear sense that we need to be democratic, but we need to pay attention to the Republican basic preconditions for a democracy. The third idea that I want to talk about is an idea that lots of people speak about. I hope I will say at least something new in this respect, which is the idea of fraternity. Now, most scholars of Ambedkar, social movements around Ambedkar, often emphasize the idea of fraternity. This is not new. Fraternity is also the preamble of the Constitution. But fraternity sits with two other ideas, again, reminiscent of the French Revolution: liberty, equality, and fraternity. Now, of these three, it's fair to say that in constitutional practice in India and elsewhere in the world, fraternity is the most poorly understood idea. But what we need to figure out is why fraternity and what is the relationship between fraternity, liberty, and equality. Okay. And I will say two things. I don't want to be too long. My classrooms are on political philosophy and constitutional ideas, so I can keep you here for a long time. I'll try not to do that. Liberty, equality, and fraternity in what order? Should you first achieve liberty? After you achieve liberty, you achieve equality? And after you achieve equality, you achieve fraternity? Is that the chronology, the order in time? Is liberty more important than fraternity? Is there an ordering of priority? By which I mean, first you achieve liberty, ensure liberty to everybody. Then if you can achieve equality without affecting liberty, you achieve equality. And if you can achieve fraternity without affecting equality or liberty, you achieve fraternity. Is that the idea? And Ambedkar had a very novel idea and a thought here. You could say that he drew heavily, as some of the literature suggests, from the French philosopher Rousseau, but in a very deep sense, not directly, literally from Rousseau. And here the attention we must pay is to Ambedkar's emphasis on two concepts, commensality and consanguinity. And I'll just explain this simply. Commensality is simply known as common dining. He says we have a fundamental problem in our society. We do not eat together. So as a social practice, common dining is very important. The second idea that he has is the idea of consanguinity, the idea that in a society that is broken down into endogamous social groups, intermarriage is central. If we do not place marriage across endogamous groups, across castes, as being central to the project of constitutional and public life, then fraternity cannot be achieved. But he has a very interesting next step, which is that if you cannot achieve fraternity, you have no chance of achieving liberty or equality. This restructuring of the relationship between the social and the political is very important for Ambedkar. That is that social practice. You might say, why do you want to interfere with who I eat with? That kind of argument, why interfere with who I eat with, is a liberty argument. I can eat with who I want. You know, why should anybody, any state or any social structure determine my dining practices? For Dr. Ambedkar, this is a wrong ordering view of how to think about political values. He says if you take the liberty argument and you put the liberty argument at the highest level, pedestal, then fraternity has no chance. And he says, but if you want to create social transformation, you must do fraternity first. You must break the bonds of common marriage and common dining first. Many commentators, and to be fair, political movements have taken the emphasis on practices like common dining and intercaste marriage and so on and so forth as being some side question. He also said this. He said this is a good thing to do. That's not the way that Dr. Ambedkar presented these questions. For him, these questions were intertwined. He says that liberty and equality is not possible in a society like ours, which is so riven with a long 6,000-year period where we have, broken out into these group structures. How do we break it? This is the only way you can break it, is by putting fraternity first. Notice that each one of these ideas, the idea of fraternity as being a bridge towards liberty and equality, the idea of a republican democracy which must satisfy the preconditions, social preconditions of democracy first, before only emphasizing one person, one vote, and the idea of a constitutional morality that recreates political and social life, are all three extremely radical ideas. They're the radical in Ambedkar, in the way that Yogendra Yadav suggests we should revive the radical in Ambedkar. But what is striking about all three ideas is that the ideas emphasize the social sphere as much as the political and economic sphere. For Dr. Ambedkar, if we were not able to recreate the social sphere, then it's very difficult to imagine a society that somehow was a great example of political equality and political liberty and a democracy, if we don't tackle this core social problem. So for him, it's not that you deal with politics and economics first, and then the rest will take care of itself. That's not the way to think about politics. So these three ideas taken together present Ambedkar in a light that brings together these two concerns. How do we rethink Ambedkar, and how do we think about the future of the Constitution of India on its 75th anniversary? Right? Both those ideas come together. I mean, the conjunction of these two events, the 134th birth anniversary and the 75th anniversary of the Constitution, give us good reason to invest in these questions. This is the radical in Ambedkar. And you know, for a institution like this, it's very important for us to recount, for an institution that is invested in science and industry, that at that point in our political history, there was an unlikely coalition of ideas that Dr. Ambedkar and the Prime Minister Nehru agreed on the role of a secular rationalist science and the place of an investment in industrial growth as being the foundations of a new republic, right? I think institutions like CPRI emerged from that common understanding that a rationalist science and industry is critical to the growth of this new nation at that point. They continue to remain critical to the growth of this country into the 21st century. And it's treating our our legacy that we receive from Dr. Ambedkar in this serious way is what I think the 134th birth anniversary invites us to do. I've tried to do that. I'm glad to take any comments or clarifications. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The floor is now open for interactions.
So, nice, thanks, Pandya. So it's a nice lecture when you said regarding the constitution and article and ideas and all those things. I have one simple question. That's why it is not very serious. So there is a recent judgment from the Supreme Court, article number 142, about some TN government and all those things, governor. So there is a ego, I don't know, I can't say it's a ego problem. So what exactly Article 142 says? So who is the Supreme of the country? Is the Supreme Court or Parliament? That's all my question.
Okay, I take it that you're referring to some of the debates that are taking place on the front pages of the newspaper because the Honorable Vice President seems to be quite worked up about the judgment and so on. So it's an interesting case, and let me respond to the case, and I hope I'll answer your question in that way. What does the court say in the governor's case? The Tamil Nadu legislature passes a statute. The governor is meant to give assent to that statute. So who is in conflict with each other? The governor is a representative of the executive branch. Yeah, so the governor is a representative of the executive branch of the government. The legislature makes a law. So the conflict is between the legislature and the executive. Because the governor is appointed by the central government, potentially there's a conflict between the state government and the union government. But if there's what did the court say in this question? On this question, the court said that the balance of power between the executive and the legislature is such that the legislature must prevail. The legislature, because it's democratically elected by the people, the legislature must prevail. There seems to be a mistaken understanding that in a case like this, that the judiciary has taken the power. I don't know what that even means. Because what the judiciary has said is that the legislature must prevail. It has said that the executive branch of government cannot stymie or limit the action of the legislature. So where is the judiciary usurped the power? The judiciary has usurped no power. If the judiciary had said that we must give assent to the bill, then you can say, or anybody can say, that the judiciary has taken away the power. That is not the judgment. The judiciary has taken no power. The judiciary has simply said that the governor who may think that they have no time limits, no restrictions on the scope of their assent, there are some reasonable restrictions to keep the constitutional frame in place. So my sense of this judgment is that it's somehow, at least in the public debate about the judgment, is horribly misunderstood. There is no judicial usurpation of power at all. The power has been restored to the legislature. That's all it is. So that's my view as a student of constitutional law, someone writes and teaches in the field. I think there's a very odd kind of public debate which we should just set aside. I think that with the passage of time, we quickly realize that that really here the legislature must prevail, and that's quite the right decision. You may have a second question, which is, should the judiciary be the final interpreter of the Constitution? I think the answer to that question is very clear. That if you create a judicial branch of government and the judiciary is the authoritative interpreter of the Constitution, then it is the last word. That is what the Constitution says. So Article 142 says that if anyone has any doubt, they should read the Constitution.
Thank you.
Myself, Shyam Sundar, working as Joint Director in CPRI, and I'm also a student of NLSIU for MBL. And I've taken your classes, Introduction to Law and Legal System, during the COVID times. So it was a good class which gives confidence in my day-to-day life, thanks to you. First time I'm seeing you in person, otherwise it was online. And it was a wonderful and beautiful insight in knowing about the Constitution through the explanation on the liberty, equality and fraternity. Of course, I think this is a challenge if it is put in any forum or in any walks of life. Whether it really happens is one thing. And as the vision of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, that the preconditions requires the success for the Constitution to be success. But is it these preconditions understood by all the social members which can reach the success, or is it only the country is going towards an industrial growth on one side and the social preconditions are not met, or is it the authoritative forces taking an upper hand and the real constitution growth is not happening? And what is the visibility or education or checks or reforms that can happen on these preconditions?
Yeah, so let me check if the mic, it's working all right? Some crackling noise. But I heard the question clear. I mean, whenever anybody stands up in a public forum and says that they have enrolled in a course at NLS or have engaged in my class, I always waiting for what the next sentence is, because next sentence can be it was a horrible class, or next sentence can be that it was a good class or that the course was good. So I'm glad that the courses that you have done have been useful and helpful to the work that you do. So to the question that you pose, so in our constitutional scheme, the social, economic, and political revolution that the founders of the Constitution envisaged was placed in Part 4 of the Constitution. Part 4 of the Constitution is called the Directive Principles of the Constitution. Unfortunately, in 1950, when the court started interpreting Part 4 of the Constitution, they took the view that Part 4 was less important than Part 3 of the Constitution. When the early land reform cases came to the Supreme Court, the court consistently struck down the land reform cases. Now people don't remember. People think of the court as the savior of the republic and so on. But in the 1950s, when government was making land reform and religious reform cases, the court was striking down those cases as being violations of fundamental rights, violations of liberty at the cost of other social goals. So that was a big problem for us in the 50s. And what I feel is that today in 2025, the place of Part 4 of the Constitution, is a technical point, is still not well understood. And I think there's work to be done there, both for us as scholars in law and teachers in the field, but also for the court and for lawyers who argue these cases. So we have to relocate, re-emphasize Part 4 of the Constitution. For me, and my reading of Dr. Ambedkar is that he does not see economic growth, development, industrial development, as somehow being opposed to the achievement of social equality. In fact, at various points, just look at his conflict with the Communist Party, for example. Look at why he took a different view of the place of industrialization and the role of the Communist Party. He has a different view. I don't think if he were here with us today and speaking instead of me, I don't think he would say that rapid economic development and economic reform is a bad thing. He would not say that. I think he would embrace it. He'd say that this would create the potential and the ability to change society. Right? So my sense is we should not pose these two questions. Let me just say one thing. I don't want to be too decisive, but there's a quaint way in which, if we resist the kind of potential economic opportunities that we could have if we got our act together in the 21st century as a country, that kind of conservatism, which says don't do that, don't teach English, don't do rapid economic growth, it's a conservatism that extends beyond the economic field. It's the same conservatism that suggests that our society must stay the same way it is. Right? We must. We are a 5,000-year-old civilization. We have done great things in the past, and we must always look back to the past. Whatever else I think we might read Dr. Ambedkar as, he didn't say that. He never said that the way to the future is through the past. In fact, he would shudder at the idea that really that we see the 21st century future of India as the restoration of some old idea of India. He would be completely opposed to that. And my instinct is to go with that intuition. The road to our future is not through our past. The road to our future is something else. We have to imagine new ideas, a new way of organizing society and the economy and politics. We have to look at the past to learn from it, but not to replicate it, not to sustain it, to restore it rather. So that's where my instincts with respect to the way we think about our contemporary moment that's the way I would think about the 21st century for this country.
His idea of, he did not agree with the communalism. Okay. And then the reason is what he told, and it's proved that the communistic model in the India is failure, because he says simply distributing the wealth cannot make equality unless you bring the social reform. So that idea about what he was envisaging, that is correct. That is why the communalism was not successful here. And he was equally great advocate of the industrialization. He said the future of the India is not villages, future of the India is still industry. That was his ideas.
So, thank you, sir. And I was a little aware that our officers are so much knowledgeable and curious in judicial aspects. I feel we should have a separate full day session and invite sir. Okay, and thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your thought-provoking speech elaborating the article of Professor Yogendra Yadav that appeared in Indian Express, and bringing out the constitutional morality as meant by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in the debates in the Constituent Assembly, and the idea of federalism and the order of liberty, equality, fertility. And thank you very much, sir. Your words have undoubtedly set the stage for a successful and meaningful event today. You deserve another big round of applause on behalf of everyone present here. I extend our heartfelt gratitude for your valuable time and for your inspiring, mesmerizing, and thought-provoking address. Thank you once again, sir. Now, moving forward, it is customary to honor children of CPRI family who have excelled in Class 10 and Class 12 board exams with merit award during the birthday celebration of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar every year. Since last year, we have expanded our family by including children of outsourced contract employees also for this award. This is an initiative of our present Director General. Success is the sum of hard work, determination, and a never give up attitude. And today, we are here to celebrate those young stars who have truly made us proud. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to applaud the shining stars of our institute, the meritorious students who have excelled in their board exams with flying colors. I now invite our additional director, Dr. Sridevi, and team to take over as we celebrate in honoring our proud achievers.
JP, and very good afternoon to today's chief guest, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Sudhir Krishnamurthy, Director General, and our Director, Additional Director, and Joint Director on the dais, and the officials and staff of CPRI. Prolific thinker Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said, "Education is what makes a person fearless, teaches him the lesson of unity, makes him aware of his rights, and inspires him to struggle for his rights." So with this prologue, I am here to conduct the event much awaited by the students and parents of 12th and 10th. As told by Mr. Pradesh, it is practice in CPRI to provide merit scholarship cash awards for the class 12th and class 10th students, students of CPRI employees as part of Bharat Ratna Dr. B.R. Ambedkar birth anniversary celebrations. So we thank our Director General for agreeing to give the similar prizes to the children of outsourced contract employees of CPRI in his tenure, which is solicitous and appropriate for the occasion. Also, special thanks for increasing the amount of cash award to the children by our DG. So the scholarship committee this year consisted of Dr. P. Kaliappan, Dr. S.K. Nath, Srimati Arun Jyoti, and Sri Pradesh and myself. Applications are invited to give cash awards to the children of employees of the institute and temporary employees who have passed out in the academic year 23-24. Total applications received are 80, out of which the applications received for 12th are 6 and for class 10th are 12. Based on the applications and the mark list submitted, first, second, third, and the consolation prizes are awarded for class 12 and class 10 in different streams like State Board, CPSC, and ICSC streams. Today, the prizes are distributed to the children of CPRI employees of Bangalore unit, and for other units of CPRI, the children will be honored at their respective places. May I now request Honorable Chief Guest and the Director, DG, to do the honors for the children. I also request Chairman of the Committee and the Liaison Officer of CPRI to join. May I now request Srimati Arun Jyoti, Joint Director, to call out the names.
Yeah, very good afternoon, one and all. Audience, please give them a big round of applause and encourage the kids to receive the meritorious award. I'll start with children of CPRI employees. The first prize in State Board Class 12 goes to Miss Nityashri, daughter of Srimati Ellen Vidya. On behalf of CPRI, hearty congratulations to Nityashri, a young achiever, for achieving 6th position in Karnataka state level PCMB stream. The first prize in State Board Class 12 goes to Miss Shreya, daughter of Srimati Jayabharati. The first prize in State Board Class 10 goes to Samiksha, daughter of Mr. Venkatesh D. Second prize in State Board Class 10 goes to Master Prajwal, son of Halesh. The first prize under CBSE Board Class 10 goes to Miss Sara Chaudhary, daughter of Mr. Rajesh Chaudhary. Second prize in CBSE Class 10 goes to Miss S. Kripalakshmi, daughter of Srimati Girija G. Third prize in CBSE Class 10 goes to Master Sanjay P.R., son of Mr. Ramdas. Now I the children of our outsourced contract employees of CPRI. The first prize in State Board Class 12 goes to Miss Lakshmi SB, daughter of Mr. Basavaraju. The consolation prize under State Board Class 12 goes to Master Akib Pasha, son of Mr. Ansar Pasha. The first prize in ICSE Board Class 10 goes to Master Chetan, son of Mr. Muniraju D. The second prize in State Board Class 10 goes to Master Gautam R, son of Mr. Malyadri. The third prize in State Board Class 10 goes to Miss Chaitanya, daughter of Mr. Muniraju. The first prize in CBSE Board Class 10 goes to Master Y.V. Chandrasekhar, son of Mr. Y. Srinivasulu. Thank you, sir, for honoring the students. May I now request all the dignitaries to occupy the dais, please. On behalf of Merit Scholarship Committee, I congratulate On behalf of Merit Scholarship Committee, I congratulate all the meritorious students for their achievement and wish them all a bright and successful future. Once again, let us give a round of applause to all the children. Now I request Mr. Pradesh, Joint Director, to take over the proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, madam. Thank you, Madam, and the team for scrutinizing the received application and for the efforts in shortlisting the children on the basis of merit for facilitating them today. And congratulations to all the children and their proud parents for their perseverance, hard work, dedication, and accomplishments. These brilliant young minds have not only achieved their academic excellence, but also have set an inspiring example for the younger ones. Thank you. Yeah, and there is a small request from the team. The representatives from other organizations who are present here would like to take a photograph with the dignitaries on the dais. So I kindly request them to come forward to take a photograph. Thank you, sir. As we approach the conclusion of today's program, it is time to express our heartfelt gratitude to all those who have made this event a grand success. To formally deliver the vote of thanks, I now have the honor of inviting Shri T. Gurudev, Joint Director and Liaison Officer SCST and PWD, to come forward and extend our appreciation and thanks.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, invitees, press and media, and my dear colleagues, and parents and children who are attending today's program, good afternoon to you all. It is my privilege and honor to propose vote of thanks on this auspicious 134th birthday anniversary celebration of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar at CPRI today. It is indeed our honor to have with us today's Honorable Chief Guest, Professor Sudhir Krishnaswamy, Vice Chancellor, Law School of India University, and addressing the thought-provoking and inspiring talk on constitutional morality, democracy, fraternity, etc. In spite of his busy schedule, Sir has made time and agreed to have with us and address the gathering. We thank you, sir, for being with us today as guest for the function and gracing the occasion. Now, I request respected DG, Director General Sri D.A. Savale, to kindly honor our chief guest, Professor Sudhir Krishnaswamy, by presenting a memento as a token of gratitude and respect. Thank you, sir. We would like to thank our Director General, Sri B.A. Savale, for presenting over the function, guiding, motivating us in organizing this wonderful program in the month of April itself and delivering a presidential address on this occasion. Thank you, sir. We would like to thank respected Director Sri S. Sudhakar Reddy for addressing the gathering and gracing the occasion. Thank you, sir. We would like to thank the chairman of this program committee, Additional Director Sri Gujala Balraj, for his continuous effort and hard work to organize this great function and grace the occasion. Thank you, sir. We sincerely and heartily thank all the invitees from BHL, BEL, HAL, HMT, ISRO, CMTA, IASC, NAL, GTRE, DML, Canara Bank, SBI, and Mysore Sandal and their officials for attending this function and grace the occasion. Thank you all. We thank and congratulate all the meritorious awardees for their achievements and their parents' presence in this function. Thank you all. We'd like to thank the media and press group for covering the entire event. We also thank our admin, accounts, EMD, civil security and IT team for supporting and making this program a grand success. Also, we thank Ms. Dattat Shri for the melodious invocation song. Thank you all. Finally, we would like to thank the program committee, chairman, and all the committee members for their hard work to organize this beautiful event on this day and making it a grand success. Thank you once again. Thank you one and all. Have a good evening today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that vote of thanks and expressing our heartfelt gratitude to all present here and to all those who have supported us directly or indirectly in making this event successful and more memorable. As we approach the fag end of this program, I have a couple of announcements to make. I kindly request the audience to remain seated after the national anthem while the dignitaries on the dais leave the hall through the exit located at the back. I kindly invite all to have tea at the atrium after the national anthem, and the cultural event by Sri Rama Bhajana Mandira Trust, Bangalore, scheduled as part of today's program, stands cancelled as a mark of respect and mourning to His Holiness Pope Francis and the 26 civilians killed in the terror attack in Pahalgam, Anantnag district of Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir yesterday. We will now rise for the national anthem.
मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल वंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you all for being such a wonderful and lovely audience. I wish to close this event with a quote by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Cultivation of mind should be the ultimate aim of